So today I have the pleasure of talking to Richard. Richard, please introduce yourself and your organisation to the community.
I'm Richard Nutthall. I'm the CEO of a charity called the Shropshire Support Trust. And we're an organisation that supports young people who face disadvantage and multiple barriers to engagement, employment and moving forward in life. And we help them to make those steps, find meaning, build their aspirations and find purpose, and ultimately get them into self-employment or employment.
Fantastic. And how long has the charity been established?
We've been established now for over 7 years.
Fantastic. And how about your role, your position? How long have you been there within the charity?
Very beginning.
Oh wow.
Very beginning, yeah. So the first day I walked into a building which is a stone's throw from where we are now, and I literally walked into this room and there was a desk and a chair and absolutely nothing else, just a little bit of money in the bank, and then I had to go out and get a mobile phone, laptop and set it up from that, really.
Fantastic. So right from the get-go, right from the start.
Yeah.
What age group, you said about young people, what age group is it that you target there?
So our age group, it's changed slightly very slightly over the years. So originally we set up for 18 to 30-year-olds, but the emphasis was mainly on self-employment, getting them to start their own business. But then since then we've organically changed slightly, because we've been recognised by some, for example, with much larger statutory organisations to how the work we do, how we're getting young people engaged in various different ways, and talking to very disengaged, very disadvantaged young people. So the age range has changed to only a couple of years below us. So we start from 16 up to 30. However, we've recently been asked to go into schools as well. So we've been asked to potentially go in and work with year 9s. I have actually been asked not long ago, actually, to go to primary schools as well, because they're recognizing who those young people are, even at that early age. So if we can go in and make a difference at whatever stage that might be, sooner rather than later, obviously. Obviously it's much better for the individuals themselves, young people themselves.
Fantastic. And yeah, I think we're more aware earlier these days in terms of children and young adults' needs. What is most inspiring to you through the work that you do?
It's seeing the change in the individuals themselves, so I've had people, young people, for example, in front of me, I'm talking to, mentoring and what have you, and initially coming to us, talking to young people that, due to severe and quite debilitating, very debilitating in some cases, social anxiety and struggling mental health, won't go outside, won't go out anywhere. And they've ended up coming to us because they've been referred to us by another organisation that obviously already have some form of relationship with them, and they've come to us with that person that they know and they trust. But I've got this young person in front of me who, sorry, I need a prop, who's literally like this in front of me, the piece of paper, like, physically shaking because of the anxiety. And they've gone from something from being like that and that debilitating and overwhelming feeling of anxiety and to, within, I don't know, 14 months later, they're at an event, approaching people on their own and going, do you want to come and look at my work? Do you know what I mean? That type of thing. Do you want to come look at my product, my service, whatever it might be? Yeah. It's like looking at a completely different person and seeing that change. I mean, we've had people we've helped probably close to getting towards 300 businesses start in that time period. Just within the local area that we work in, and we've had some great successes where one business, for example, reported doing £100,000 profit in their first year, which it's unheard of, isn't it? Let's face it, apart from rare cases. So, you know, well done to them. They did a cracking, absolutely more than cracking job. But it's those seeing that personal change from people that have facing like what real barriers to them, and being able to make those steps forward in life. You know, we've got a young person who recently who wouldn't speak to anybody, had no qualifications at all, was schooled at home, and we found obviously there was no schooling that was happening at all. Referred to us by a statutory organisation, and since completed 2 of our programmes, spoken at an event for Capgemini, got a part-time job, started self-employment, started their own business doing graphic design. Never done graphic design before. Know they need to improve. So since then, they've gone back to college. They've gone to college to do functional maths and English, so they can enroll on a graphic design course. Created videos and all sorts of stuff for us as well. Do you know what I mean? And it's seeing those changes. It's honestly, there's nothing like it really. It's just amazing. I know we're lucky because we've got a team of got a great team here, not paid as paid staff, but we've also got a great team of volunteers as well, people that mentor for us, and a lot of them are actually from the business community as well.
Wow, inspirational is what I can think of right now. That's just huge, and I think the empowerment there as well. Thank you for sharing that. It gives us massive insight into the amazing work that you do as part of the charity. As a charitable organisation, what would you say has been one of the biggest challenges you've perhaps faced over the past several years?
Well, I'm gonna have to say COVID, quite frankly. I mean, there's the charity sector, there's always an ongoing challenge anyway, because a lot of the time most charities are kind of work hand to mouth, so to speak, in terms of funding and generating funds. You know, we can't just sell whatever we sell and generate income, profit and everything else and then plow it back into the organization. A lot of the time the funds that we get, it's restricted. You know, so you know, we might get, I'm speaking to a potential funder and they're saying, no, we like what you do, we'd like to give you some money. Oh, great. So what project have you got going on? So you tell them what it is and they'll say, well, we'll fund 20% of it. You know, and then that presents a challenge itself. Great, you want to accept the money, but where are you going to find the rest from? That type of thing. Or you'll get a lump sum of money and it'll cover certain things, but then obviously there's other overheads which I never thought of, or in some cases they just, most funders will refuse to, for example, to fund anything to do with marketing. But we need that, as any organization does, to let the world know that we're out there, that we're doing what we do and the great work that we do. You know what I mean? So there's lots of challenges, but COVID was obviously a massive challenge for us. I mean, I'll be honest with you, at one point I honestly thought we were going to shut down. Particularly at the beginning of lockdown, early lockdown, there's lots of support packages were coming out for different sectors. I kept waiting with bated breath, looking for the charity sector. Eventually it came, but I managed to put a few other things in place to keep us going. But I'll be honest with you, since we've had our best year since, touch wood. Yeah, we've had our best year since, best financial years. I've now got a team of, when we entered into COVID, I had two, including myself, 2 full-time staff and 2 part-time members of staff. I've now got a team of 10. You know, and we've engaged in some quite substantial contracts as well for the size that we are. Yeah. And being recognised as experts in youth, not just locally but nationally as well. So it's funny in terms of how that, if you're able to get through a difficult period, how things can just flip and change immensely.
Absolutely, and that is, I mean, yes, COVID. I think we all shudder when we hear that word. There were various challenges, navigation, and pivoting. But yes, some of the successes is coming out at the other side. I think through sheer resilience.
Yeah.
But that is amazing to hear. The growth of the team that you have there. You mentioned about success, because I always like to think that after challenges and adversity, there does come success when we can navigate the way. What would you say one of your biggest successes have been, let's say in the past 3 years, including COVID?
I'm going to say probably I created a program which is, you may or may not have heard the term, which is to work with young people that are classed as NEET. So that's not in engagement, employment or training. Now, every statutory body organised, every local authority has a responsibility to track them from when they leave school for up until the age of 18, and there's a certain cut-off point to do with that academic year. They have to report these figures back of how many NEETs they've got, how many they keep track of, how many they've lost, and how many they're getting into work, training, or whatever it is. Now, every local authority has this a number of NEETs, and they all report and saying that we generally speaking, obviously there's some have some success, but generally speaking, those struggle to get the number down. So we've had one of the local authorities that we work with was asking for ideas. So I approached them with an idea that, how we work with young people. I mean, honestly, it came from my own experience, because I was one of those NEETs once upon a time, many moons ago. So we started this pilot program with NEETs, and we had a 12-month time period and a target, and within 3 months they deemed it a success, and then extended it even before we finished the 12 months. So and we're now, because of that work, the word spread, so word of mouth's always great for any type of business, isn't it, or organization, is we're now being approached to work with the high risk NEETs in schools or other local authorities. So we're just in discussion phases about with those different types of organizations in different areas. But for us to be able to confidently say that we've developed a program essentially from scratch, using different aspects of different experience, not just myself but different members of the team, and obviously listening to those young people as well, is we put something together that it works. I'm not saying it works 100% of the time, but it works for the majority, a lot more than anything else that's come before it. So yeah, and again, it comes down to that level of engagement with young people and giving them meaning and purpose. For example, the young person I mentioned before, that was one of the young people who came through that program. So yeah, we've got lots of other stories like that as well. So yeah, I'd say that's probably one of our biggest successes. We've had others as well, engaging with different other types of organisations, statutory bodies, and various other things as well. But yeah, that's definitely, I'll say, probably one of our special ones.
Congratulations, a quarter of the way in, it was already deemed a success.
Yeah.
In the time frame. So congratulations. And I'd just like to take you back to the beginning.
Yeah.
What would you say that one of your biggest learnings have been?
I'd say and this is something I think every business owner at some point has had to learn to do, or should learn to do if they haven't yet, is as your organisation is growing and you've got people, it's obviously everyone's got the challenge of getting the right people, etc. But you've got them, and it's being able to allow them the space to get on with their job and get on with the tasks that they need to do. They'll have their own ideas, you know what I mean? As long as it fits within your culture and the remit of your business or your organisation, then, let them run with it. As long as it's, if you can get them invested in that way personally, and this is something I'm banging on all the time. I'm different business boards and committees and various other things as well, and engagement with education and all that kind of stuff. But I keep going on about there's a big disparity between business owners and employers and young people recruiting them. And it comes down to, or anybody really, a lot of people, if you can get wherever you get in your organization, if you can sell, as you would do to a client, you sell your organization, you sell your culture and everything else, you sell yourself, because you want their business. So why wouldn't you do that when you're recruiting people? But then you want to encourage that, you want their ideas, you want their input, so make them feel like they really belong, and that way you're going to get more out of them longer term. You can have your struggles to begin with, but that's when the good things come. You have your struggles, you get through those, and then the great stuff happens afterwards. So my biggest learning thing has been able to do that myself. Instead of preaching it, it's practicing what I preach. So I've gone from me on my own for the first 2.5 years of running the charity to having a team of 10, and I've had to learn to go, right, that's your role. This is what you do. There's your remit, there's your information. You get on with it. Give it a go. If you're struggling, by all means, give me a shout. If something not sure of, or you've tried something, it's not working right, or whatever it might be, obviously let me know. And I'll sit with you and work through it with you. But it's encouraging them to work on their own, obviously as a part of a team, but working on their own as well. And if you can get people involved in even what seems simple little things like asking for an opinion on something, or do you know what I mean? It really, really gets them passionate about what you do, what your organisation is about. And that's what I've had to learn.
I love it. That shared ownership is a huge area, as you've just explained. And it is, especially when you've been there at the beginning, it's been you. It is that hard to let go sometimes.
It's like having your own child. A lot of business owners think it's like having their own child, and it's yours. You've brought it into the world, you've nurtured it, and everything else, and then you've got to let someone else to help look after it. And every parent most parents will relate to that. Absolutely. Like sending them off to school, and someone else is now starting to look after them part of the day, and you're kind of like, oh my god.
Absolutely, I love that analogy as well. And finally, if somebody came to you and said they're thinking of starting a charitable organisation, what piece of advice would you offer them?
I'd be quite open. I'd say it's tough. But it's like with any not just charities, and running a business as well. I used to run a business myself before. It's at times it gets tough, and it can get lonely as well. So make sure you're engaging with others, and don't be afraid to ask for help, because you'd be surprised where you might get it sometimes. I think that's it really. And just even through what seem like tough times, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. It might seem a million miles away, but then suddenly the following day it could be great. And we do this for young people that we've helped set up businesses. We've said to them, I've had people come in who've said, it's times I've had enough. I've been there before. I've had enough. I can't. It might be you've actually just woken up one day, you feel like everything's just come wrong. Or you just had a bad week. You think, enough's enough. I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. But you go and have a chat with somebody, invariably you talking to the person, they might not even really contribute anything to you, but it triggers things in your own head. You might answer your own questions, for example. Yeah, so if you've got that opportunity to do that, then do take that, absolutely, because then you go away. Well, actually, it's a burden lifted. Off I go. In fact, I did it this morning. I did this IT, she spoke to this IT guy, and he went, actually, what you've done so far is absolutely spot on. I was like, oh, right, great. So what seemed like an absolute mammoth weight on my shoulders, suddenly it's turned to a little mouse, which I'm soon going to go, get off.
Share the load.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. There was a lot of powerful information there that I'm sure is going to help somebody else in their journey. Is there anything else you would like to share with the community today?
Yes. So very quick, a couple of things. Our journey's taken a slight additional branch to it, where our focus is going to be very much on youth engage, how to engage youth, but where we can help other organisations on how to do that ourselves, how to do it themselves. So in terms of recruitment, careers and various other things as well, and how to help develop them and communicate as well. You'd be surprised how many people that aspire to be employers and young people, for example, who've already entered the workforce, the younger generation, Generation Z. So it's better understanding them, and it's that thing of how you'd engage with clients. Why don't you do the same thing with recruitment and your potential employees, that type of thing. So we're doing that, and we're going to start looking at doing research as well. So we will be wanting to engage more and more with the business, our local business community, and probably further afield as well on a national level, so we can get insights from them in terms of what they feel is missing, what support they feel that's needed. So in terms of skills and various other things as well. So we're going to do a big piece of work on that. And then, so any engagement with the business community on that level will be fantastic. And then on top of that, we're going to be launching something soon. We're going to be doing our own events based around this to make people aware. So we're going to be doing a recruitment drive for things like sponsors and supporters. So that could be, for example, an organisation might say, oh, here's X amount of money donation. Great, we love that all the time, of course, but most businesses are not in a position to do that. So but they might be in a position to raise funds by some sort of activity or whatever it might be that they want to do. Or it could be offering some time as a mentor, which will help someone within their organisation to develop their own skills. So part of that continued professional development. It could be, like I said, like fundraising activities. It could be donating some sort of service or product or whatever it is that's going to help the charity or its beneficiaries. Yeah. So we'll be doing that soon. So we will send some information out around about that. So obviously, please keep an eye out. I'm always looking for mentors as well. I said, we wouldn't have had the success that we've had with the young people without the volunteers, mentors that we've got. And I say the bulk of them have come from the business community, who've gone through different types of barriers themselves, who you can make that sort of connection. And then the other thing we're going to potentially be recruiting for, we've got our own Dragon's Den style panel as part of our business startup program, our business program. It's called the Assisters. We've already got some Shropshire-based businesses that are involved, and they put some money into a pot. Now the charity doesn't touch that money at all whatsoever. It's sat there waiting for them to decide. So when we send one of our young beneficiaries in front of them, and it's an informal chat, it's more of a puppy's parlour, I suppose, than the Dragon's Den. Very friendly, and they're great because they make the young people feel at ease very quickly. And they find out about them, their business, their aspirations, what they've done so far, where they want the business to go. And then initially we'll assign mentors based on the feedback that are relevant to the feedback. And then they've got an opportunity to work with the mentor, the young person wants to work with the mentor, to go back in front of the panel if they need funds. So that's where that pot of money comes into play. So we've had young people have had anywhere between £500 to £5,000 to help them to move the business forward. And one of those businesses actually was the one I mentioned much earlier on, was the one that did £100,000 profit in their first year. They set up a nutritional and healthy fast food takeaway, and they're flying, absolutely flying. And this is one of our young people at one point was struggling with mental health and other stuff as well. So yeah, to go from that to that is awesome, amazing. So to be part of that, and the people that are part of the panel as well, it's a great experience for them as well. And you've got the opportunity to put different people in for the organisation again, and it's I wish you could sit in it actually and experience it. Honestly, it's someone said they feel like their feet lift off the air. You get a bit of a buzz from it, that type of thing, because you're seeing it all happening in situ. Do you know what I mean? So it's really hard to describe. It's a great experience.
I can feel it. I can feel the energy, and it sounds amazing, Richard, and I just commend you on the work that you and your team do. How can people reach out to you? What's the best way of them getting in touch with you should they wish to be part of those amazing initiatives?
So we've got they could email us at support us at sistbusiness.co.uk. That's Sis Businesses, S for Sierra, S for Sierra, YST business.co.uk. We'll have some information uploaded to our website very soon as well. And you can phone us on 01952 299 214. If anybody's got any direct questions to me, they can email me directly, richard@sistbusiness.co.uk as well.
That's amazing. Richard, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. It's been fantastic talking to you. I, for one, will be dropping you an email to see how we can get involved and support your young student initiatives. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And to your future success.
Thank you. Thank you very much.